Okay, guys. Well, happy Saturday morning, and appreciate all of you being here. Like I just said, I know more people will pile on over the next couple of minutes, but we want to start on time and start on schedule. But again, thank you for being here, and good morning. I am very excited about this Super Saturday. We have some great content and some guests. You know what? It'd be really silly of me not to mute everybody, probably. Let's see. Let's do mute all, and then I'll come back and unmute Charlotte for now. There we go. You're unmuted, Charlotte. Okay. So anyway, good morning, and we will get started here. But like I say, I'm just very excited about all of our guests and recognition and training this morning, and I was really excited about what we did last month with the Super Saturday, and to be honest with you, I'm about 100 times more excited about this one. A lot more participation from other leaders in our group. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Miss Charlotte. She is going to be doing recognition today, and I just want to say I appreciate you, Charlotte, and happy you're helping. Appreciate your leadership, and I'll turn it to you.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate everyone being on this morning. Don't know about you guys, but I'm not a morning person, so I definitely had to set my alarm clock. If you know me and know me well, mornings are not my favorite. I take my first client at the salon at 11 o'clock. So this is a little early for me, so just want to welcome everyone. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen with everyone so we can get our recognition going here. Okay, morning. Got our full screen going here, I hope. Yes. First of all, we want to congratulate each and every single person that is going to receive free Zeal in the month of August. As you can see, there's like over 90 people here listed that is G3 qualified. Chris is on here. I saw Patty on here, Aaron Sullivan, Cindy Buxton, Marcia, Julie, I don't want to forget anybody, but I sure don't want to go down and read 90-some different names on here. So just want to say congratulations to each and every single person. I see Cindy Buxton, Pam, Dave and Katie, Rebecca, and that's just to shout out a few. If I didn't get your name, I am really, really sorry, but pat yourself on the back. G3 is the first step, in my opinion, of doing this business. Anytime I get someone in the business, first thing I want to do is I want to put their business on autopilot. I want to get them at least 3 customers to get G3 qualified. Next slide. Let's talk about, let me get back over here. Get out of there. Okay. I got umpteen things popping up over here on me. Come on. Okay, rising stars. This slide right here, as everyone can see, this is if you have put in a new consultant or a new loyal customer. Big congrats. This means that you're actually working the business. You're planting seeds out there. The seeds are starting to grow. Big congrats to Amy Birch, either a consultant or a new loyal customer. Andrea, Angela, Carmen, Anthony, Chris and Sarah, Connie, Crystal, Danny and I put in a new consultant, Debbie, Edward, Gary, James, Janice, Jennifer, Gerard, Joni, Jody, Julie, Karen, Kylie, Marley, Mary, Nicole, I'm just going down the list, Pam, Patricia, Patrick, Rebecca Drone, Richard, Sally, Sandy, Shelly, Tara, is that Tanya? Vanessa, Victor, and Will. Congrats, congrats. That's people working their business, growing their teams. But as we continue on, this is one piece of business. This is the seeds that have been planted. But let's get to the next slide. The Rising Stars of July that has actually put in 2 consultants or a consultant and a new loyal customer, either or. But big congrats to Brian, Cindy Buxton, Dave and Katie, Diane, John, Kim, Lori, Patricia, Roland, Ron, Scott, and Sylvia. Big congrats. They are on a roll working their business. People that have actually on fire, really, really, really work in the business, got some seeds planted, and their crops are starting to grow. Big congrats. 3 new pieces of business to Donna over in Nebraska, Judy Willis in Illinois, Mark and Patty up in Kansas, Randy Springer up in Illinois. That's 3 new consultants or 3 new pieces of business. Now let's get to 4. I mean, this person's crop is really, really, really growing. Crystal Felici, Aaron Sullivan, Jesse Strong, and Mason Singer. 4 new pieces of business that actually joined their team. And the Rising Star of July, 5 brand new people joining their business is Amy Pagankoff up in Kansas. Congrats, congrats, congrats. That's what the business is all about. It is about planting the seeds starting to grow, your crop starting to grow, and your business is taking hold. Now, we have got one special big congrats to Roland out there reaching his first team bonus. So guys, what does this mean? It means that if you don't reach it in your first 30 days, don't get discouraged, because that business volume, it doesn't go away. Zervita actually changed it a few conferences ago that if you did not reach and you did not hit All-Star in your first 30 days, that business volume is going to stay there until you actually trigger that bonus and you get qualified to join, if you choose to activate and join and drive one of the luxury cars. But you've actually earned that $400 team bonus. So the only difference between hitting it in your first 30 days and hitting it later on in your business is the difference that it's $800 if you hit it in your first 30 days. That's because you're rocking and you're rolling and you're getting business off the ground. But you know, if you come in and you're just a little bit slow, life happens, don't give up, because it's still going to be there. So Roland, big congrats to you. We just want to take our hat off to you that, you know, you're still working the business. You are still coming on strong, and just congrats to that big bonus. And let's talk about the $50,000 sponsoring bonus pool. Congrats to Mark and Patty again. Patty, our ambassador, you know she's leading the way. She leads by example every single month. If we follow in the footsteps of Patty Carson, we are going to be successful. And big congrats off to Randy Springer, an executive consultant up in Illinois. He actually hit the sponsoring pool, sponsored 3 new consultants in his business. Hats off. Congratulations to Mark and Patty and Randy Springer. Okay, let's talk about the event coming up in Dallas, our summit. There's one in Anaheim and there's one in Dallas. Congrats to each and every single person on this list that has already pre-registered. That's what we do at one conference to the next conference, is go ahead and register. Then we always get a low early bird ticket price when we register from conference to conference. So Jesse Strong, Chris and Sarah, Susan Moore, Roland, Mark and Patty, Joni, Ken and Virginia, Julie, Marcia, Cindy, Jeannie Sewell, Aaron, Connie, John, Martin, Edward, and Trisha and Thomas. Congrats, congrats. That's what our business is all about, is from event to event. So guys, start working on how to build your business. I've always been taught the number one way, it depends on how many people that you have in the seats, how many new people you bring with you from event to event. So let's all make sure that we've got some new consultants, new guests at the next convent, either in Anaheim or in Dallas. So big congrats to each and every single person this morning. I'm going to turn it back over to Chris. Chris, take it away. Let me stop
Well,
sharing.
awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much, Charlotte. You did a wonderful, wonderful job. And just again, congratulations to everybody that put business in this last month, grew your business, and special congratulations to you guys that did the sponsoring bonus pool. It is our company's play right now, guys. Mark talked about it on the call the other day, our launch call for the month. And I just encourage all of you to kind of put a line in the sand and go for that sponsoring bonus pool. And then Roland, congratulations on closing your first team bonus, being car qualified. And Charlotte did a wonderful job of explaining, guys, if you don't hit it in your first 30 days, that volume doesn't expire. Just go out there and build your business, and you can hit it later and earn that first $400 bonus and become car qualified. And then one other thing just to follow up on, the registration for our next events in October. There's one in Dallas, one in California. I think most everybody that's registered so far is going to the Dallas one. The early bird pricing, which I believe, and I'm doing this by memory, but the early bird pricing, which I believe is now $89.99, actually expires on the 18th of this month. So it's after payday. It's after Zervita payday. I highly, highly encourage you guys, if you're going, if you're planning on going, or just really, I encourage you to make a decision to go. And now would be the time to register and get that discount on there. So with that being said, we're going to move on to our next segment, which I'm very excited about. And I probably should have already unmuted these people, but guess what? I haven't. So I'm going to do it now. But our next segment is something that's really, really exciting that we've been watching go on over the last several months, to be honest. And I just want to say one thing to kind of introduce it. You know, guys, there's lots of ways to build our business. I said it on our Q&A call yesterday, so if you were on it, I'm sorry. But, you know, guys, I was always taught to have 3 to 4, 5, 6 even things that we're doing to build our business at a time. So say I'm working primarily on Facebook. Well, does that mean that I don't carry around business cards? You know, hey, I may be, you know, doing the 3-foot rule and talking to people as I come in contact with them, but does that mean I don't put a car magnet on my car or a sticker on my back window? You know, my approach may be handing samples to people, and that's how I'm building my business. But does that mean if one of my new consultants wants to have a home party, I don't have one? Absolutely not. I truly believe to build our business, yes, do what you're having fun at. Do what you're excited about. Do the thing that fits your personality and that you're most comfortable with. But I also challenge you to challenge yourself, you know, grow, become better, become more, and do a thing or two that's kind of uncomfortable to you occasionally. And just be consistent with your favorite, and try to be consistent with some other stuff like the cards and different things as well. But anyway, with that being said, we're going to hear a lot over the next couple months about Facebook. We're going to hear a lot about building your business on Facebook, and had a lot of people having success with it already, which you're going to hear about today. But we've had years, a decade now actually, of success with parties and home parties. And this next group, they're going to tell you their story, and I'm not going to take away from it. But I'm very excited to see what they're doing with their parties. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to the Pegenhoffs and let them tell you about their meeting that they're having, I believe, in Lost Springs, Kansas. And I'll let y'all take it away. Thank you for sharing this morning.
Thank you, Chris. I'm Marcia Pegenkoff, and we are from the middle of Kansas. And I want to tell you about how we actually got started doing these weekly meetings, except we prefer to call them a presentation or an informal gathering. Well, Patty gave out a challenge. This was right at the first of the year. And she said anyone who would do a weekly presentation and be consistent with it would get a free dinner on her when we went to convention in Dallas just this past June. Well, Patty knows the way to my heart. Number one is food, and number two is a challenge. She knows how to get to me every time. And Patty came through, and she treated us to an awesome buffet in Dallas. And also, as an added treat, she added several ambassadors, invited them to come, and we got to listen to them. And Chris, you were one of them, and that was just awesome. Next, don't let a home presentation be intimidating to you. You don't have to do it alone. My daughter-in-law, Julie, and I, we do it together along with my best friend, Connie. So, we've got a whole support system here doing what we do. I'm in charge of the food and setting up the presentation. Julie, she's our social media gal. She takes the pictures and she posts them on Facebook. And she's also the door greeter. She greets our guests, when they come in. And Connie, she helps with the food as well. And she also helps with the presentation and gives testimony too. Then Julie and I do the presentation together. And my husband says, don't forget me. He says, I'm your poster child for his testimony on his healing for his leg amputation and his heart surgery. And so it truly is a family event. Well, we started out slow with our meetings, and what I would suggest, not everyone is comfortable having it at their home. So we looked for a place. I'm friends with a manager of the local hotel in Harrington, which is about 8 miles from us. And she said, sure, you can come and have our breakfast/conference room, and you can do it for free. So that's what we did. Well, and that was starting out in January. As our meetings began to grow, we got more and more people using more of the tables, more of the chairs. And then summer got here, their work crews started coming in, and they needed the room to eat their meals in after hours. So we kind of got booted out of the hotel the end of June. But my 90-year-old mom, she steps up to the plate and she goes, hey, why don't you have it at my house? And Mom lives in Harrington too. It's just 8 miles away. It's a central place. She has a complete full basement. And she said, come have it here. So we set the presentation up there. I don't have to take it down. Everything's always set up. And so it just turned out great. It's a perfect setup, and it's very inviting, and it's very comfy. So whether you want to have it in a public place like a restaurant or a hotel, or have it in your home, either way, whatever's comfortable for you. Well, then a few months back, I decided to try a different approach because it's whatever's comfortable for you. Do you have to do this? No, not at all. But I decided, let's give our guests a meal. Let's feed them before the presentation. So it's just something that I added, and it's working out well. Well, my job is I decide the menu, and I fix the main portion of the meal. And then Connie and Julie, they each bring something to it. Connie is usually our dessert person. She's known for her famous pumpkin pudding dessert. And then Julie will bring, something as well. And it's nothing fancy. And just a few examples of some of the meals that we have served have been chili dogs, sloppy joes, sandwiches, chili. You get the idea. And then everyone, we bring something to go along with it. Now, what I feel like for our weekly presentations, we like to call it a presentation or an informal gathering, because who wants to work all day and go, hey, you want to come to a meeting? So it just sounds better, by saying, come listen to our presentation. Come on, let's have a meal first, and then we'll, get together. We're all going to break bread together. And that's what they did in the Bible. They broke bread together. And once you've done that, you have a camaraderie with the people. It just seems to break everything in ease. And it just kind of sets the tone. Well, I feel that there is a need for our weekly presentation. it gives a place to go for our local consultants who have prospects, and the prospects who want to hear in person about the product, and they want to hear in person and see the people who give the testimonies, and they want to talk one-on-one together. And so that, yeah, there is a need for it. And then post pictures of your gathering on Mighty Z Team and on Facebook. People notice. People follow people who are going somewhere. Just for instance, my daughter Holly, she's a new consultant of mine. She lives in Florida, but she noticed. She says, "Mom, one of those pictures you posted, I noticed, I recognize that gal in the front row. I used to bowl with her when I was still in Kansas. We were on the, same bowling team together." And so, she noticed. She doesn't even go to our meetings. She can't, she's in Florida. And then I also did a one-on-one presentation with a gentleman while he enrolled. And then I took his picture, and then he said, "Oh, so this is what those pictures are all about that you've been posting." So, people notice, get the advertise, what's going on? Why there's more people every week, and there's different people, and they're all holding the bottles of Zeal. What's going on? Well, we've had a lot of building business from these meetings. My daughter-in-law, Amy, she was a new consultant just last month, and she's been bringing people to the meetings. And as you saw, she got, 5 new customers. She just enrolled one last night. So she's on her way. She's, building her business. And Connie and Julie and I, all of us, we've been building from the presentations. We started out small. We continue to grow. And I think our largest one has been 19. And my motto is, if you feed them, they will come. And I'm going to turn it over to Julie now and let her give her take on our presentations and see what she has to add. So Chris, I'm going to turn it over to Julie.
Well, Marcia, I'll tell you, I probably won't talk near as much as you, but that's okay. I'm kind of, I'll have my spiel and I kind of get to the main points. But, everybody has a different personality when they do this business. And, that's what's great about it, is that you can be yourself. If you're a good talker like Marcia, you can talk. I'm not a great talker. I prefer to use the tools and let the tools do the talking for me. And so that's why we have, our Facebook groups. That's why we have our app. Millennials, we grew up with technology, so that's kind of right down our alley. But as far as our meetings go, we had some really humble beginnings. I think our first meeting we had 2 guests who were already consultants, and we're just kind of there for the support and the camaraderie. But we would have a couple more meetings, and then nobody would show. And it can get very discouraging when people don't show up, and you have these meetings and nobody shows up, and you're, in the back of your mind, you're thinking why am I doing this? I'm wasting my time. What's the use? And you'll want to quit doing them, but don't quit, because, things change from week to week. People have different things going on in their life. It doesn't necessarily mean that they don't want to see what you have. And, sometimes, if you live in a small town like us, it's really hard to think of people that you can invite, and it's hard to meet new people that you can invite. But it's okay, because, there's always new opportunities to go out and search for new people to talk to. Having 2 kids homeschooling, it doesn't leave me a whole lot of time to go out and meet new people. But, I might go to a park that's out of town and give the kids a change of scenery. And I've found prospects there before. But whatever you have to do, instead of, if you work all day, instead of coming home and watching Netflix, drink a Zeal, and go out and, do something, get out of the house, join a club, go bowling, get involved, just do some networking, just do something, to get out there and meet new people. Don't go out there with an agenda of, you know, like, oh, let me give you my samples the first time I meet you. Just, you know, get to know people and just make that connection. And like, don't even bother mentioning anything about the business or the product. You know, usually my first, my first interaction with them, I really don't say anything. If they ask, I say, you know, yes, I have a home-based business. But I'll leave it at that. And, you know, we'll have some phone conversations. We'll text back and forth. And then when the timing is right, I'll text them and I just say, hey, what are you doing on Monday? Oh, nothing. Make sure you ask what they're doing first, because you're clearing the date. Because if they say they're not doing anything, good, they can't really give you an excuse afterward as to why they can't come to your get together. But I just say, hey, you know, my colleagues and I, we get together every Monday night and we have a meal, and we visit, we give a business presentation for our guests. If I invited you, would you be able to come? And most times people say yes. I mean, I, you know, have met hermit crabs who just don't like getting out of the house, and, you know, that's okay. You love people where they're at, you know. But continue to network. Not everybody's going to see the vision that you have. It helps to have like a good posture as far as like, you know, the business. If you believe in our business, if you believe in what it does for people, people are going to catch that vision more than likely. And once they catch the vision, then they're going to start inviting their guests. And before you know it, you know, that you've got a little movement started. So, after convention, this is so important, why, you know, it's important to come to events. Some of the biggest growth we've had is like right after we came back from an event, because, you know, everybody gets fired up as soon as they come back from convention, and then just possibilities open up, you know, in your mind I can't explain. So if you really want to see growth in your business, get to convention or Success Summit, you know, the next big event. I think that's all I have. I think I covered everything. I guess we'll hand it back to you, Chris.
Well, awesome. Well, Marcia, Julie, you both did phenomenal. Really, really appreciate it. Hey, real quick, how many months have you been doing the meetings, Marcia or Julie?
Since January.
Since January? Okay, awesome. So 8 months. And okay, awesome. Well, again, congratulations. And like you shared, it's not easy doing the meetings. There's going to be weeks people don't show up. There's going to be weeks you're sitting there by yourself going, man, why am I doing this? But, you know, Patty's contest obviously helped drive y'all because you wanted to win, and we enjoyed that lunch together. Or that dinner together. But I just wanted to say I like the concept of the food. It's kind of different than a lot of people do. But, you know, I started a small group at our church a couple months ago, and we now have the largest small group in the entire church. And the reason we do that is we feed them every Sunday night. You feed people, they show up. So, I mean, you know, it's a different strategy, but it's working. And, you know, you have our team's top producer in your organization because of your meeting right now. So it's just fantastic, and I want to congratulate y'all for sticking through and sharing with us all today. And with that being said, like I said before y'all started talking, you know, this is about training today and a special guest. So I'm very, very honored to introduce our next speaker. And like I said, he's found a different way to build the business, something that's his niche, his excitement, that he is sold out on, that he feels is the best way to build the business, and he has some proof to him that it is, with the growth he's having in his team, the success he's having, and it's something I'm very excited about, and I know many on our team is excited. And after Kyle, we're actually going to hear some stories of success in our own organization that have used this system that he's going to talk about a little bit as well. But he's also going to kind of share his story, his journey, just what the business has done for him. I remember meeting Kyle, probably 3-4 years ago. I'm going to lie. I have no idea how long it's been. But I remember Chris G. brung him to a local meeting that we were having. And, I don't know if he had been in the business before or after that or how all that worked, but I remember that was the first place and time that I met him and just watched him grow, watched him become a leader in our business. I believe he's a national director today. He's got married. I think he even met his wife in our business. I don't know. I'm trying to tell a story that I don't even know the details to. What I'm going to do now is turn it over to Kyle Nickenberg. You'll notice he has a really funny accent. He lives in North Texas. So I don't know what it is with all these Texas guys. They all have different accents. Frank sounds one way. Mark sounds one way. Alex sounds one way. And now we got this weird accent of Kyle. So it seems like everybody in Texas sounds different. I don't know why, but with that being said, Kyle, one other thing. Kyle is on vacation. He is a trip winner. He's at the Hollywood trip with the company this week. I think they went out a couple days earlier to see his wife's family. But basically, this guy is doing this on his vacation for us in California. So it's 6:30 in the morning there in California. And I just want to say how special that is and how much we appreciate it. And with that being said, I'm going to shut up and turn it over to Kyle.
Thank you so much, Chris. Can you hear me? Awesome. Fantastic. Well, you are right. I'm in beautiful Temecula, California, and I'm going to show you the view because this is absolutely, so we got the sunrise just over there. And then look here, there's the pool. And if you look up, you can actually even see hot air balloons in the distance. It's just probably the most beautiful place that I could be calling in from that I've ever, I could ever imagine. And it's just a true sign of just how blessed that I feel and how grateful I am for what I have, because it wasn't always this way for me. And I was praying earlier and I was just thinking, what version of my story shall I tell today? Is it the one that, I worked really hard on to produce it, presentations? Or shall I go all the way back to the beginning and just really tell people why this business is something that makes sense to me and why I'm so driven to have success with it? And, I was thinking I'm going to share a version of my story with you guys today that I have never shared with anyone before. I've never shared it with a business presentation or anything like that. So for those of you guys who don't know me, I am originally from the UK. I'm 24 years old, just turned 24 last week. And I was really always an overachiever. When I was in elementary school, I was diagnosed with special needs. And it was really, really crazy because there was not really any signs of it other than I was just a bit different. And my mom said, there's no way he has special needs. He's just a little bit slow. So she told me that. And she said, whenever I was told that, instead of just accepting that was my diagnosis, I started to become inspired by that. And from a very young age, I was very driven to overachieve. So after having that diagnosis, I finished elementary school with the best grades of anybody that they've ever had because I knuckled down and I did it. And so that was kind of the start of this overachievement for me. Now, I grew up in a broken home. My dad and my mom separated when I was 2. And that always led to a lot of friction back and forth. I don't know if you were from a broken home or you got divorced and had kids involved. It can be kind of messy. And it's not anybody's fault. It's just the way it is. And so my dad, he really went on and he excelled in business. He became a multimillionaire, had the fastest growing business in my home country of Wales. So it really started to sow the entrepreneurial seeds for me. My mom and my stepdad, on the other hand, they were just the typical workers. My mom worked nights and at a hospital. My stepdad, he eventually became a manager of what we call like a Walmart store. So, but he was working. He works like 12 hours a day still, all these years later. And so I got to see 2 very different lifestyles. The one of the millionaire that took me on vacations. By the time I was 16, I'd seen 26 different countries, which is amazing, which is definitely a huge part of why I love to travel and why I decided to come to the US. And then on my mom's side, we maybe go on a vacation once a year if we were lucky. So I got to see both sides of that. And whenever I was going through high school, there was a time where my mom and I, our relationship became very stressed. I was focused on school, and one morning, I remember she was just not in a good mood. I mean, if you guys as moms, if you've never been in a good mood, I can relate to that because that was my mom most of the time. I love her to death, but there was just this one morning, and I was just about to go and sit a very big exam. School looks very different in the UK, and right at the end of high school, you do these exams that are harder than college in the United States. And I was one morning before an exam, and she said something to me, and I said something back to her. I wasn't answering back. I just didn't hear what she said. And she thought, well, she misinterpreted what I said and said, okay, I've had enough of you. Go live with your dad. And it was just really weird. It was out of nowhere. I'd never experienced that before. So she didn't really mean it in the moment. I mean, she didn't. But I thought, you know what? There's too much stress in my life. I'd had enough. Our relationship had become so tense that I decided I went and moved out, and I went and lived with my dad, who lived about an hour away. So I moved away from all of my friends, all of my close family, all of my siblings that I'd grown up with. And it was honestly the worst and the best thing that ever happened to me, because if that didn't happen, I wouldn't be sitting here today. So I'm telling you all this because if that didn't happen in my life, if I didn't go through those tough times where my mom kicked me out of the house, I went to live with my dad, I wouldn't be here today. So one day I was studying for another exam, and I was just on Facebook. You know what all kids do when they should be studying? I was on Facebook. And I saw that a friend had turned down a soccer scholarship to come to the United States. And I was like, well, why the heck would you do that? Right? I mean, in the UK, we don't have, we have a great university system, but we don't get soccer scholarships. Sports aren't very big in college. I mean, here everyone's all about college sports. And so I thought, man, if I had that opportunity, why wouldn't I do it? I mean, I would grab it with both hands. And so in that moment, I said to my dad, I said, can you believe this guy? And he said something that changed my life. He said, if that's something that's stirring in your heart, if you don't pursue it, you'll regret it. And I went and pursued it. Now, my mom was dead set against me going. So if I'd lived with my mom, I would never have taken that first step, because she'd have killed my dream right there. I don't know how many of you have ever come across dream stealers before, right? Raise your hand if you've ever come across a dream stealer. Okay, yeah, there we go, all of you. So my mom was a dream stealer. She wanted to just keep me where I was at, didn't want me to leave, didn't want me to go and thrive and become who God had called me to be. And at that time, I wasn't a Christian either. I'd never been to church. But I always said the Lord's Prayer every single day. We were taught to say it in school. Now, our schools aren't particularly Christian, but I learned it at school, and I just said it every day. I didn't know what I was praying, didn't know anything, but I prayed the Lord's Prayer every single day before I went to bed and when I woke up. No idea why. Still to this day, I don't know, but there was always this stirring in my spirit. So this journey that I'm on was not just about coming to Zavita and having this radical life change, but it was also about becoming a Christian as well, which obviously is a whole lot more important than business. But I was on this journey for a reason. So I went and I sat the SAT exam or the ACT exam. I think I did both. And in the UK, it cost me about $2,000 in hotels, travel, everything to get there and take this examination. And I got a really good score. I think it was the ACT score. I got like a 34. I knew it was out of 36. And everybody told me, they said, man, that's like the highest score that we've seen in a long time. And I'm thinking, well, I can get 2 more points here. What's the big deal? And I didn't know at the time I could have actually gone to Harvard with that score. Didn't know it because I was ignorant. You don't know what you don't know. And so I went and did the examination again, and guess what? I got exactly the same score. So complete waste of another $2,000. But I knew I was committed to going to the United States. And one day I was playing in a soccer game, just, with some friends, and a coach from a university based in Oklahoma City was there watching. And he said, hey, we would love for you to come out here. Have you ever considered going to the United States? And I said, well, as a matter of fact, I have. I've even got my ACT scores. I told him what they were. And he said, well, with that score, you could come to our college for free. The school would pay for your academics because of how good you are academically. And we'd pay for your room and board through a soccer scholarship. And bear in mind, at this point in life, my dad had just gone bankrupt. Okay, so when I was 16, my dad went bankrupt twice. He lost both of his businesses during the recession when the financial crash hit in 2008, and it was just in a real rough time. And that was really hard for me because we'd been on all these vacations, we'd been on all these trips, we'd been through all this stuff, and now it was all taken away. And so, you know, for a 16-year-old, I'm not understanding that this is just life. I'm thinking that, oh my gosh, what's happened? It was like all security that I'd ever had just been taken away from me. And so I went to live with my dad at his lowest point in my life, sorry. And so I'd seen this man, just this dynamic man, just crumble and be crushed. And I went to live with him at exactly at that time because my mom kicked me out. And as I said, if I hadn't experienced my dad going through bankruptcy, if I hadn't experienced falling out with my mom, I wouldn't be here today. So one day when I was playing in that soccer game, it was December of 2012. Okay. And I was offered a scholarship by the coach. And he said, well, we'll see you in the next fall, right? That's when the school year starts. Well, I told him, I said, I'm really interested, but I want to look at other options. Well, he panicked because he thought he was going to lose a good soccer player and a good academic student. Soccer players aren't really known for their academics, so when you find one, you try and get them. But so he basically said, okay, how about this? Why don't you come out in January instead? Bear in mind, this is December 12th of 2012. No one in the history of the world has ever got a US visa within a month to go study there. So I don't know what he's thinking. But he said, no, we're going to give it a try. We're going to see what we can do. We're going to see what we can make happen. And I went for my visa interview on January 4th of 2013. Sorry, my contact lens is split and I can't see properly. So January 4th of 2013. And they said, we'll fast track you because you're obviously not a bad guy. You're obviously someone who genuinely wants to go to the US. And they said it will arrive within the next week or two. Well, then I went and booked flights because I'm thinking I've got to be at school by the following Monday because I have to be there. Otherwise, I'll get dropped from classes, and what would be the whole point? So I was there, and they said it would come between 9 and noon on this particular day, this Friday. I was flying out Saturday morning at 3 a.m. And they said it would be there on Friday between 9 and 12. And my mom and I went out for breakfast. It was my last supper. We went out for breakfast that morning. We got back about 8:45, knowing we had to be there by 9. Well, it turns out the courier delivering my visa had come early and missed us. And so at this point, we didn't have a visa, didn't have a passport, nothing. And they said the earliest we could get it to you is the following Monday. And this is the Friday. I'm flying out on the Saturday. They couldn't get it to me till the Monday. And by the grace of God, a miracle happened. They said, we've never done this before, but if you're willing to get this at 10 o'clock at night, we'll drop it off at 10 p.m. And I'm thinking, well, I'm flying at 3 a.m., so that would be perfect. So the courier drove 6 hours to drop my visa and my passport off so I could fly the next day. And this is how God works through our lives and the situations and the circumstances we don't see. And bear in mind, this all is happening, and it's only upon reflection I see the miracle that this is. So I got a visa in less than a week that no one had ever had before, and I fly out. My visa arrives 3 hours before I'm due to leave for the airport. I mean, it's just insane. It's just incredible. And so I leave, I come out to the US, and my life completely transforms from that moment on. I mean, I literally became a different person when I crossed the Atlantic Ocean. I had a fire and a passion inside of me for something greater. And I met this teacher, this professor, who was just the most incredible pastor. And he mentored me through my New Testament class. And I got probably the best grade they've ever had in that class because I was hungry. I wanted to learn about this Jesus character. And within 3 months, I got saved. But we fast forward now to 2015. It's January. And I'm introduced to this stuff, this Zeal bottle. And I'm thinking, like everybody else, this is some pink powder. What do I need pink powder for? I mean, how many of you were a little bit skeptical when you were first introduced to it? I mean, I'm sure pretty much all of you were. That's the great thing, is a changed mind is powerful. So he introduces me to this pink stuff and gives me a phone number to call in to a phone call that Kirby and Cindy Wright were hosting. And this was back in 2015. Now, I just arrived back from the UK at Christmas the day before. And so I was jet lagged. So he gave me this phone number to call. And I fell asleep during Kirby and Cindy's call. But I heard just enough in the 10 minutes I was awake to stir my interest. So the next day I enrolled in the business, and he said, oh, by the way, next week we have a national convention. You need to go. I'm a poor college student. I'd never had more than $100 in my bank account at one time while I was in the US, and he's trying to get me to join the business. So I put it all on a credit card to go to get the builder's pack, because that's the pack he tells me to get. And then he says, by the way, we're going to Nashville. I said, no, I'm not going. And thankfully, my sponsor cared about me enough to drag me to convention. He said, don't worry about paying for gas. Don't worry about paying for some of the hotel. If you could pay this much, I'll cover the rest. And if you can, and we'll buy some of your meals. You just got to get there. He sowed that seed and got me there. And at that convention, I made a decision to get baptized because of Mark Jarvis's sermon on that Sunday. And that lit a fire inside of me that and a week later, I got baptized in the training room of my university by the guy that first basically led me to the Lord. It was just amazing. And the reason I'm telling you all this, and it's not, and you may think, well, what's this got to do with business? Well, here's the thing. All of this stuff that's in our past is what drives us today. All of that stuff has shaped me into the person I am today. And so I went through some real, you may not think they're challenging times, but for me, it was really, really just a really difficult time. I had a dream stealer that was my mom. My dad had gone bankrupt. And in that process, my hero, my grandfather, had died. And he got very sick when I was younger. And I basically babysat him for the last 10 years of his life. And I lost him. I mean, it was a tough time. So I got a fresh start in the US. I was led to the Lord, and I was led to this business. And I'd seen my dad go bankrupt. I'd seen my dad try to build a traditional business. And when the economy tanked, he just lost everything. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I hated business. I hated the thought of even going into business. But I knew that if I wanted true freedom, because I was a business student, I had to be an entrepreneur. So this business perfectly fit that model. It perfectly fit what I was looking for in my life at that time. And I started out within 6 months, I was earning more money than my professors. In my 7th month, I became a national director and earned almost $10,000 in 1 month. I got a lot of resentment and a lot of blowback, especially from my professors, because, they were earning maybe $3,000, $4,000 a month. And I was earning more than them, and they just didn't like that. And so I was targeted. I had one professor gave me a B. It's the only B I ever got in college, because she just didn't like the fact I was doing this business. And it sounds funny now because it's not a big deal anymore, but at the time it was pretty shocking. And since then, I've gone through some incredible ups and downs in this business. I'm going to tell you this because I'm always open and transparent. What you see is what you get. And so I hit national director with 60,000 in volume, August of 2015. By January of 2016, my volume was at 2,000. I went from 60,000 to 2,000 in 6 months, 5 months. And everybody looks at me and says, how the heck did you not quit? Well, I didn't quit because I went to my first convention, and it lit a fire inside of me. And people ask me, well, how did you lose a team that big? Well, there's a lot of factors that come into play, a lot of drama with upline, downline. And but most importantly, I didn't develop to the level that I needed to be. And when we had some terrible flooding in South Carolina, about 60% of my team was in South Carolina, and they all took about 3 months off and eventually just dropped slowly. The fire just was burnt out, and they dropped. But here's the thing: when most people, when that happens, when you lose probably 99% of your business, most people will quit. All it did was make me more determined to have success. All it did was make me more determined to go to that next level in business and to go and win and to provide for my family. And I knew that this business was the ticket, was the answer. So I got back on the horse and I went again. I built my business up back to the national directive level. And then again, it dropped. But this time when it dropped, it only dropped to about 30,000. So see, when it dropped again. So see, your business is not going to be straight up. There's going to be seasons and times where you go through challenges. The key to success is when it dips, it's higher than it was when you started, right? And it's higher than it was the last time it did. And so today, we're bringing in a few $1,000s a month, nothing absolutely crazy. But the good news for us is we have a solid foundation for our lives. I met my wife in January of 2016, and now I dated a girl when I was in college, and great woman. But my contact lens is driving me insane. She left me because I was doing this business. She didn't see the vision that I had. So I prayed to God, hey, bring me someone who not only sees me for who I am as a person, but sees me as a business leader that can build me up, that can be there for me. And the Lord brought me Bonnie, who was already in the business. She was also a digital journalist. She worked for the news. And one day she reached out to me on Facebook. And obviously at the time, I didn't know we were going to get married. But the Lord has used this company to not only save me, get me to be baptized, but also brought me my wife. So when people ask me, well, why do you continue to go through this when times get tough? It's because I know the Lord's placed me here for a reason, right? He doesn't bring us this far to just let us quit. So if you've hit a wall in your business and you don't know which way is up, you don't have any hope, I just encourage you, I implore you to persist on. And, Bonnie and I, we qualified for the Zealing with the Stars trip earlier this year. And we're out here in beautiful California. I mean, it's absolutely stunning, as I showed you guys earlier. And it's just a culmination of so many things. We got married in April. We took on a lot of debt to get married. Don't advise that, but we did. But through this business, we know that, hey, we just have to work a little bit harder. We can pay this debt off faster. We're not tied to just a wage at work, right? I know I'm going to get paid this. I can drive my income to $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 a month by the end of this year, and that's what we're on track to. So I say all that because I think a lot of times, I'm 24 years old, I'm well traveled, I've had a little bit of life experience. I know that a lot of people have had worse things go on, but I just want to tell you, as someone who's been through a journey of, my mom didn't really want me, my parents got divorced, I've had a loss of probably my best friend. My dad went bankrupt, and it's not really like a woe is me story. It's just a case of we go through those and God delivers us to something better. So if you're going through the struggle and you're going through the challenge, I implore you to focus on what's ahead and not what's behind. I remember I went to a training not too long ago, and Andy Dooley does this amazing illustration. I do this with my team. He said, if you extend your arms like this and you look one way, okay, this way is the past. It's all of your doubts, your fears and anxieties, all of the stuff you've done wrong, all your regrets, all your fears, everything like that. Or you've got this way you can look, which is all of the hope, the prosperity, the future, all the possibilities, your dreams, your desires. He says you cannot look at one and get the other. If you're grateful and you're excited and you're hopeful for the future, it doesn't matter what's happened over here. You can't look at one or you can't look at both at the same time. You can only look at one or the other. And he's so right. So I made a decision. I make a daily decision now that I'm going to look forward in my business and not look back. Right? You can look, it's okay to know what your story is and know why you're driven in a certain way, but it's so important that you don't get stuck in that story and you don't get stuck in all the stuff that's happened in the past. Your past does not define you. Okay? Just because you made mistakes, just because you've screwed up, just because you've done silly things, trust me, we all have. But it's not about that. It's about what's coming. It's about what God has in store for you, that next breakthrough. And I believe that those of you who are faithful and you have daily disciplines can have so much success in this. So I'm going to change gears right now, if that's okay with you guys. I want to talk about what's working for me currently in my business. So if you'd like to hear what's working, I want you to just raise your hand really quick so I haven't lost you all. All right, I got like 2 of you. No, I'm just kidding. But so here's what I want to tell you guys. There are so many different ways to build the business. And the ladies you just had, Julie and Marsha, just sharing about the party system, amazing what they're doing. I mean, and I definitely do not discredit the party system. I built my business to where it is using parties. Love them to death. Absolutely love being in front of a room, sharing our business opportunity. But what I've found is as time is developing, as we're moving forward in life, that people just aren't as interested and as open to doing parties as they once were. It's become a little bit more difficult to fill a room. Now, food will always get me there. So that's a good thing that you guys are doing. Food will always get me there. If you want me to come, just promise me food and I'll come. I'll drive to Kansas for it. I'm just kidding. But what I've always found is people like convenience. People will always choose the path of less resistance. And so in this business, we have this amazing new system that we've pioneered, Bonnie and I, with Kirby and Cindy Wright. We've pioneered what we call the ATM system, and it means add, tag, and message. Now, if you don't have Facebook, this way of building your business is probably not going to be a good idea, is it? If you don't have Facebook, you can't use the Facebook ATM system. But if you do have Facebook, you're probably missing out on a way that's going to build, that will build your business that's so much easier, or I should say simpler, not easier, simpler than you've ever seen before. Because people from the comfort of their own home can really understand what is, can really see a good quality presentation of what our business is all about. And so it's so vitally important that we get you guys to understand the full magnitude, the full scale of what this thing has to offer. So the first thing you need to do if you want to take advantage of what I'm about to tell you about is you need to be members of the Power of One product and the Power of One opportunity Facebook groups. They're private groups, they're secret groups actually, with lots and lots of testimonies in. And they have testimonies on the product in the product group, and testimonies on the business in the opportunity group. And the whole theory behind this thing is the same reason we host parties. So why do we host parties? We host parties because we want social proof. We want to see people, right? We want to see other people doing the same thing. We host parties because of excitement. How many of you have been to a party and just got fired up and stirred up because of what it's doing for other people, right? And then the third thing is that people want to see results. They want to see a lot of people winning with excitement. That's what they want to see. That's why people go to parties and enroll in the business or get on the product. So we've tried to replicate that process through Facebook groups. Now, it's not perfect by any means. It's not perfect, but it's just, it's making life so much easier. We're weeding through people so much faster than we've ever done. We're able to sort and filter, because that's really what we're in. We're in the sorting business. We've got lots of people that we know. We've got lots of people that we don't know. And we just need to sort through them to see if they're interested in this business. Now, if you've never viewed this business as a sorting business, I challenge you to change your mindset, because if you're just sorting through people, there's no emotional attachment there. You're just looking for people who are open to what you have, instead of if someone says no, oh my goodness, that's the only person I thought was going to do it, and you're deflated. I just encourage you to see this as a sorting business. You're filtering through people to see who's interested and who's not. Now, this process is really, really simple. And I'm going to tell you the numbers for my business so you guys understand the scale of this thing. Before the Facebook groups and before February, okay, in the previous 2 years in this business, I had recruited about 25 to 30 people in the previous 2 years. I don't know the exact number. I'd have to go back and check again. But since February, since the Facebook ATM system came out, I've recruited over 40 people in 6 months using this system. 40 consultants. It's not customers. That's 40 consultants. So I've done more in 6 months than in the previous 2 years combined. Okay. And in just June alone, I did over 10 people in 1 month. So, and I've had several months where it's been 7, 8, 9. And so it's really working for the people who work it, right? How many of you guys here would like to recruit 10 people a month? Okay, well, I mean, who wouldn't, right? I mean, it's just a sign of growth. Recruiting will solve all kinds of problems in this business. If you're down and depressed, go recruit someone. Now, this system is real simple. So I'm just making connections with people that may have already been on the team in the past. They didn't have success. People that I meet out and about, my friends, my family, my if you have co-workers, I'm just talking to everybody about this system. And my pitch is real simple. Hey, I just joined a group of over 10,000 people who are using Facebook to earn some extra income. Would you like to see what we're doing? Or are you open to taking a look at what we're doing? How easy is that? I mean, it's not difficult. Or if you're more product focused, you say, hey, I just joined this Facebook community of over 10,000 people who are having great success on this product. They're getting healthier, they feel better, they're losing weight, whatever you want to say. And then I just say, hey, there's some spots available. Would you mind if I added you to the group so you can check out what this is doing? It's a real simple pitch. It's very non-threatening because we're not doing any selling. We're letting the system do the work for us. So now when they say yes, when we get permission is vital. You know, you're not going to go to someone, you're not going to turn up at someone's doorstep and present zeal to them if they're not open to it. So it's so important we get permission. And then from there, we want to add them to the group. So I just tell them, hey, I'm going to add you to the group, to a group called Power of One Opportunity. And I'm going to tag you in 3 stories. 3 is the magic number. Someone asked me, is 3 the magic number? It absolutely is. It's not enough to where they don't get enough, they get enough information, but they don't get too much. You could do 4 occasionally, but I would say stick with 3. It's a pretty good number. And then if someone wants to request more testimonies, they can. So 3 stories followed by, so what I basically follow up with them after the testimonies, and I just say to them, hey, what do you think of the stories? They normally go, that's pretty cool. I want to learn more. And so then I say, well, if I tag you in a 23-minute presentation so you can see how this all ties together and how it works and how we're doing this, when will you have time to watch it? And then I just tag them in the video and I follow up after they've watched it. It's real simple. But guys, here's one thing the one tweak that I've made when I'm using this to transform my business is I don't add them to the group and tag them until they've told me the time they can do it. So if they tell me at 8 o'clock tonight, they can watch the videos, I am not going to add them to the group right now, right? It's like 7 a.m. where I'm at. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait till 8 o'clock, and then I'm going to add them and tag them. And I'm going to even ask them before I add them and tag them, hey, are you ready? If they're not ready, don't add them. Here's the reason why. They will probably not look at them if they're just randomly added to a group and tagged. If you said to them, hey, can you watch this tonight? Most people will not, because they will forget. So if I remind them at like 7:55 and I said, hey, Marsha, you said you could watch this at 8 o'clock, just checking in to make sure you're still available. And Marsha says, yeah, sure. Then I go into the group and I add and tag and I say, okay, Marsha, I've added you to the group. I'm going to get back with you in 10 minutes to see what you think of the stories. And then again, after that, I'm following up. I always ask them this question. after the testimonies. I always say, which story did you like the best? I just want to know what drives people. I want to know if they're driven by necessarily the money, the flashy lifestyle, or if they're driven by a rags to riches story. They have hope. You know, what's driving them? And you can really tell a lot about a person from the type of story that they like. So I ask that question and I say, cool, are you open to watching a presentation to basically see how everything works? And they always say yes. So I say, when will you have time to watch it? And then I tag them in at that appointed time again. And then when I'm following up with people, it's just like you're following up with someone that you've sent a video to. How many of you used the mobile app to send a video? The good news about this system now is you don't necessarily need the mobile app, because the product video and the opportunity video are actually in the groups for you, and the compensation plan video and all these different presentations. So there's so many tools in there. You can keep someone on Facebook. And the good news about you keeping someone on Facebook is that when they come into your business, you're going to teach them to do the very same thing. They're going to be able to build their business on Facebook. I mean, how many of you, the first party that you hosted, could stand up in front of a room and give a full presentation? Nobody could, right? But how many of you, your first day in the business, could reach out to a few people, see if they're open to taking a look at a Facebook group, add them to the Facebook group, tag them in a testimony or two, and follow up? How many of you could do that if you had the good training to do it? Pretty much everybody can do that. It's so easy. It's so duplicatable. So that, and duplication is the name of the game in network marketing, right? It's not about what works. It's really about what's duplicating. And here's the thing. Something is always duplicating. It can be positive or it can be negative, but something is always duplicating in your team. Your team is always a direct reflection of you. So I have to look at myself in the mirror and say, okay, what qualities do I need to possess today or exhibit today to show or to duplicate into my team? What behaviors do I want my team to have? So I've set the standard for my team that we add and tag 3 people per day to the Facebook groups. It's a minimum requirement, because here's the thing, consistency is the key to success. If you invite 25 people to come to a Zeal party, you're pretty much going to get probably about maybe 5 if you're lucky, just in today's climate. If I ask 25 people to check out a Facebook group, I'm going to get at least 20 be open to it. So my numbers have increased, but the key thing is there's 3 people a day, because it's a manageable number, right? It's a manageable number, 3 people a day in this group. Now, what's going to happen is, so Marsha, I'm picking on you, but I'm going to use you as the example again. Okay, Marsha, you're going to get, if you added 3 people per day for an entire month, Marsha's added about 90 to 100 people to the groups by the end of the month. And what we're typically seeing is, if you do a really, really bad job, about 10% will join your business. If you do a bad job, if you do a good job, you can get between 3 and 4 out of 10, which is similar to a Zeal party. You're not getting any worse odds, but you're just getting in front of more people. So if Marsha was really bad, she'd get 10 people to enroll month 1 if she did 3 people a day into the opportunity group. Okay, let's say that those 10 people do 3 people a day, right? Those 10 people she's recruited do 3 people per day. That means that Marsha has got 10 people reaching out to 3 people a day. That's 1,000 people the next month that are being reached out to. If they're really bad, 10% will join the team. That's 100 people, right? So within 2 months of doing this every single day, Marsha's got a team of 110 people. Marsha, would you be happy to grow a team of 110 people in 2 to 3 months? Look how excited she is about that. Exactly. So my point to you guys is, this is going to lead to faster duplication. It's going to lead to bigger growth, and it's going to be simpler than ever. Now, for those of you who want the training, the very best training that we've got for this system, you need to be a member of the Power of One training group. The Power of One training group. Okay, this training group is a fantastic resource for you guys. We do Facebook Lives every single night at 8 p.m. Just to give you tips and tricks, but there's a section in the group called units. So if you're taking notes, write down the word units. When you become a member of the Power of One training group, and if you need to be added to that, ask one of your leaders or reach out to me and I'll add you. But in the units section, there are different units of training, different modules that you can go through that I put together. Kirby and Cindy Wright and I we've partnered up, and we've put together this dynamic training for you guys with workbooks, with business plans, with videos, with all kinds of tools for you to just go out and build this business using the ATM system. And I highly encourage you to go all in on this thing. Now, I'm not saying don't host parties. I'm absolutely not saying that. If you love hosting parties, if you love to do that, please do it. But I haven't hosted a party, a physical party, since April closeout. And my business is growing faster than ever through this system. So and as I said, I don't have anything against parties. I just think it's so much easier. I used to drive 3 hours one way to do a Zeal party. One way. I mean, how many of you have ever driven 3 hours one way? I've even driven further than that, but I used to drive that regularly, 3 hours one way to a Zeal party. No guests show up. We try and encourage the consultant, who typically will quit within a few weeks because no one's coming to their parties. Now, I can coach them through Zoom or on Facebook Messenger. I can get them in the groups. I can teach them how to use the groups, and they can have success. Even if they're really bad, they'll pick up customers with this system. So you are going to have faster duplication, you have better retention, and you just are going to have an all in all, a more satisfying and fulfilled business. Because one of the things that we can't do, if you're hosting a party, you don't have access to all these incredible testimonies, right? You've only got access to yours, and maybe if your leader's there or if you have a team member or 2 there, you got their stories. But in this Facebook group, you've got access to everybody's story, everybody that's posted it. You can show someone Andy Dooley's business story. I mean, who isn't going to be inspired by that, right? You can show that my story's in there. I know that Chris and Sarah, their stories, I mean, their story is phenomenal. Tag people in it. I mean, just use it. Now, the last thing I want to say is all about the follow-up, okay? So there's no use in you going through all the processes of adding and tagging and using the system if you're not going to follow up. How many of you have heard the phrase about 5 million times, the fortune is in the follow-up? How many of you heard that phrase? The fortune is in the follow-up. So it amazes me when people still don't do it. They still don't follow up. It's real easy to follow up. Just ask them, what did you like best about the presentation? Does this make sense to you? Hey, if I introduce you to my leader, would you be open to that? Or, as I do it, hey, I just say, hey, I'm going to introduce you to my leader, Chris. He's got an incredible story, and I really believe you'll benefit from it. And the good news about bringing in your upline, by the way, is they can answer questions for you. If you're new in the business, you might not know how to answer questions. You might not know how it works. So if I bring in Chris, if I bring in my leader can answer the questions for me. There's no harm ever. So Marsha, if you didn't know a question and you want to bring me in, there's no harm in you saying to your prospect, hey, I really don't know the answer to that question, but I know someone who does. Would you mind if I brought them onto the phone really quick to answer that question for you? Right? And you can, the good news about using Facebook is you can use Facebook Messenger to follow up with people. I try to keep people in Messenger. I do 3-way calls through Messenger. You can actually do that because you just create a group with your prospect and your leader in there. They can kind of communicate through typing and find out a good time. And then you just hit the call button and it calls both of them at the same time. I mean, it's real easy. So, and I'm not saying, like, I still do the old-fashioned 3-way call. I'm just letting you know there's so many tools available to you. Another thing I love about Facebook Messenger when I'm following up is I can do a voice message or a video message. And here's the thing, text is great, but if someone's going to be moved, they're going to be moved by emotion. And they can hear if they can hear the emotion in your voice, they're going to be more likely to take action. So I use a lot of voice messages. I use a lot of video messages. Not everybody's comfortable using video, but how many of you know how to talk? Right? Everybody knows how to talk. You're going to be a little bit nervous at first, but if you can just talk, you're going to get better over and over and over. Practice maybe with some team members first on how to do the voice message. Practice on, friends, family, and then go out and start using it to reach out to people that you don't know. The good news about building on Facebook as well, guys, is you have access to a network that's not just in your hometown. You can build this business anywhere. If you've got a friend in Australia, for example, I know you guys have team members in Australia here. You can reach out to people in Australia using Facebook, right? And this is another point. This is the last thing I'm going to say with Facebook today, is make sure that your profile, your personal brand is set up properly. What I see is who you are, whether that's the reality or not, because that's the only perception I have is what I see in your Facebook profile. So my advice to you is don't have anything that says anything about Zavita or Zeal. Don't have anything that says, has any pictures of Zavita or Zeal. Here's the reason why. Is when people see your profile, you want them to be curious about what you do and not give them the answers, because all they're going to do is Google it and they might find someone else to sign up with. Whereas if they were curious about what you do, like this person's so inspiring, she has all these uplifting posts, her profile says she's an entrepreneur, oh my goodness, I need to reach out and see what she does, right? Or I could click on your profile and go, oh, she does Zeal. What's Zeal? Google. Which one's going to work better, right? It's a no-brainer. Go look at some profiles of maybe your leaders. Look at my profile. Look at Chris G's profile. You'll notice that we don't have anything that says Zavita on our Facebook front page. Like when I first glanced at it, our cover photo is non-related to Zeal or Zavita. Our profile picture is just a clear picture of us, maybe with our spouse in it. And then the about section is about being an entrepreneur, being, just a excited human being, and just stuff like that. So set up your profiles. If you're going to build through Facebook, that's the only thing people are going to see, right? They're just going to see your online persona. So anyway, I don't want to babble on, but I do want to tell you this. I've come from a background of absolutely no experience in this industry. The only thing I knew is I didn't want a traditional business because it's too tied to the economy. The economy crashes, my business is under threat. If the bank decides one day doesn't want to loan me any more money to keep paying for all this stuff, I go out of business, my family gets hurt. In this business, you have the opportunity to build something incredible with the support that's already provided. I mean, how many of you here believe that Zeal's the best product in the market in our space? I mean, pretty much everybody that's on this call should believe that. If you don't have that belief, you need to be on a call for a different company, because that's just the reality is we have the best product. So when we have that belief, it's all about building that distribution network. You guys have got some of the best leaders in the entire industry, not just Zavita. with Dave and Katie, with I don't want to miss people out here, but with Chris and Chris Smith, with Patty Carson, with Marsha, with all these people, with Julie, all these people are incredible leaders in this business. You guys have got the best leadership. Let them help you build your business. These calls are amazing, but get yourselves today in the Power of One training group, learn the system, and then go apply what we teach in that system. I encourage you. It's just a different avenue to build your business, but I would not be surprised if after a few weeks you go, oh my goodness, this is so much more simple, and I want to dive in with this and really grow with this thing. So Chris or whoever, if you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them for you now.
Well, first off, Kyle, you did phenomenal, and I am just very, very, very excited, and that everybody's clapping and giving you kudos, man. Your testimony, your story, what you shared at the beginning of the call, I feel very privileged and special that you shared that with us, and the fact you've never shared that full story before. It's exactly what we want to accomplish on these Super Saturdays once a month, and I appreciate you sharing it and sharing it with us. And I don't know if I was getting teary-eyed or if it was you having trouble with your contact, but my eyes were definitely watery. And I'm sorry that you had trouble with your contact the whole time. And you're such a trooper, because I could tell it was bugging you so bad, and you just kept talking and stayed on task. And I appreciate it. As far as what you shared about the training and the group, man, we are 100% supportive of what you're doing. We're 100% excited about what you're doing over there, and then also very thankful to yourself, Kirby, Cindy, and the other leaders that kind of got that started. And not to, dredge up anything, but we stayed away from it for a minute. We were waiting for it to be a little more compliant. You guys have done a wonderful job of cleaning it up, making it perfect. And like you said, it's not perfect. It's a work in progress, but we are very excited to jump on board and start using it. And we've done that. We have a group of people that have started using it. They're going to be part of our next segment, and we're actually 2 minutes over, so I'm not going to ask you any more follow-ups. Just tell you thank you, thank you, thank you. But as an appreciation for you to hear others having success, because there's not a lot of things in place for you to see that, I do welcome you, even if you want to turn your video off, to listen to this next segment if you want to, because our team, we put somewhere between 12 and 15 pieces of business in this last month because of the system that you guys have done such a wonderful job, not only putting together, but setting up training and just having daily support on there with the Zoom calls and stuff. So if you'd like to listen to that, you're welcome. Kyle, any last word?
No, thank you so much for having me. What you guys are doing with this monthly Super Saturday is incredible. And I just encourage you guys, stay plugged in. If you're having challenges in your business, the best thing you can do is stay plugged in, be encouraged. And Chris, I'll absolutely stay on for this next segment to listen to amazing stories about how the system's working. So thank you guys for having me this morning. I hope that you got some value from it. If you didn't, just discard the last 45 minutes. I won't be offended, but I hope you got something from it.
Well, Kyle, I promise you that we all did, and have confidence and know that we all enjoyed it and appreciate it. So, and again, you're welcome to stay, but I know you're on vacation, so listen in as long or as little as you want. Dave's up next. I'm very excited to have our presidential director, Dave Simpson, kind of doing some interviews. And we put this after Kyle for a reason. We have some people in our organization using this system, this Power of One system, and having great success with it. Like I said, 12 to 15 pieces of business last month directly from this system that I can keep track of. There may even be a few more. So we had 4 people really stick their head up and do really well with this system. 2 of them were available this morning, and we're going to have them. Oh, there's Dave. I'm scanning, looking for Dave. He moved around a little bit. Dave's having a little bit of trouble with his internet this morning, so there's a slight possibility he may get booted. If so, you get to have half as good of a person kind of finish up the interview, so I hope that doesn't happen. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn it over to Dave. He's got some great people to kind of share their experience over the last couple of weeks. So with that being said, Dave, I'm going to turn it over to you and mute myself out.
All right. What's up? Is my connection good? Can you hear my voice?
I got you.
Okay, cool. I was hoping Kyle would stay on. I was going to make fun of him until Bonnie told me he doesn't even actually wear contacts. It's okay for boys to cry, Kyle. You don't have to make up lies about it. You got us all crying. It's okay. It's okay. We'll get through this. All right, guys. So, holy cow! I'm not going to go on again about it, but I have a whole lot of notes because that was super, super helpful. Really good nuts and bolts, Kyle. Thank you. So, but now we're going to go to Aaron Sullivan. If you're there, Aaron, this is you are there. Awesome. Another.
Hey, I'm going to interrupt and be real unprofessional real quick. I forgot to tell you, Dave, add an extra 5-10 minutes to the end. I'll cut it off mine at the end. Take the time it takes to get this good information out. Sorry.
Oh, cool. Thanks, Boo. So, Aaron, you done did this last month. So this is not your first time learning about it. Obviously, you learned about it, and then you did it. Actually, it wasn't even last month. It was like last week, from what I understand. How about it? In your words, tell us when it clicked, what you did, how many you did the whole story. Tell us about the beginning of the ATM system for you, and then what's happened now.
Okay, well, so honestly, I just saw a video that Kyle did, and I mean, I honestly haven't done like all the training in the ATM system, but I just happened upon one of his trainings, and it was the one where it was like the introduction kind of, and then like, so I printed out like the introduction and then like make the list and the scripts. And so I guess my biggest thing has been really struggling with like a list. Okay, so when I make a list, I don't okay, so like I have lists everywhere. And so I haven't really, been able to keep track of all the people. And so like having that one piece of paper and just writing names on it just really helped. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, I just posted something. I think it was either on my Facebook page or in a Facebook group, and just really got some people interested in not even knowing what Zeal was. So then basically I gave them the little spiel that I give them, which is, well, Zeal is all natural, all-in-one product, 120 ingredients, 39 superfoods. It gives you energy, blah, 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 all that stuff. And would you be interested in learning more about it? So at that point, if they say yes, then I say, can I add you to a group? If they don't respond, then I move on. If they say, yeah, definitely, I'd love to learn more, I'd love to try the product, then, like I said, I add them to a group. So, I mean, that's basically.
So that's really good. So then you add them to the group, tag them, do an add, tag, and then message. How many people did you successfully, do you think? Now, I didn't talk to you yet, so I don't, if you don't have these numbers prepared, just say, I don't know, dude, I just a bunch. That's okay. So I'm just investigating because it's super fascinating. How many people did you get past the add to the group stage? They said, yes, I'll be in the group, and you did it.
Really? I think about 10 to 12.
10 to 12. Okay, cool. And then you tagged them. How many of those 10 to 12 successfully watched the videos, do you think?
Well, honestly, I don't know.
You can't know, right? Okay. So how many of the 10 to 12, how many fulfilled an enrollment of either a customer or a consultant?
I got 2 consultants and 4 customers.
That is freaking awesome. So like 50% or more.
Right.
So have you ever in the years gotten that many customers or consultants from one burst of activity at one time before?
Never.
Never. So what's your favorite system, Aaron?
ATM.
I wonder what you're doing this month.
Right.
Awesome.
And I've kind of been a little bit, because, okay, I can't say that, I'm going to wait till the last 2 days of the month. Because honestly, it was crazy. Because I really did, like, the last 2 days, I was like, okay, I got to do something. And I mean, my confidence in myself after just kind of struggling for so long was like you know, if something happens, great. If not, oh well. But, you know, so that like when I did get the people, I'm like, oh my gosh. Because one of the retail customers that I got totally, so we had been chatting a little bit and I hadn't really followed up with her, but I don't know if I put something on my Facebook page like miracles happen at the end of the month. And I totally wasn't even talking to her about placing an order. And all of a sudden I got this text and it was like, you have a new customer. And I'm like, what? Holy cow.
Who, what, where? So you're saying the ATM system works even for procrastinators who wait till the second to the last day of the month?
Yes, right. I mean, when I just heard Kyle say, you know, if you put 3 people in a day, and
Yeah.
I'm like, 3 people times 30. Wow, that is 90. Holy
When you
cow.
think about it, like, when you think about that, that doesn't take a ton of time. You're not talking about driving to 3 presentations. It's not a lot of
No,
time.
right.
20 minutes.
Right.
I don't know, 15, 20 minutes.
Right.
Cray. All right, Aaron. Very, very, very good job. It's so cool to watch you pop up and step up and do it. Because that was a bit of a move of faith. I mean, you didn't know for sure, but you're like, the why. Sometimes people are afraid of stuff, and then the why not? Why wouldn't I? Why not me? Why not now? Why not this? Is such a more powerful question.
Well,
Good
and
job.
I've always had a strong, I mean, as Patty knows, I've always been trying to build on Facebook for so long, and they're like, no, you got it, you know, it's always got to be your close knit people, your, you know, your warm market. And I'm like, no, I'm gonna do it, not warm market. I'm gonna do it.
Well, it's your season. It's game time now for
Right,
you. So
right.
awesome.
But
Thank you, Aaron. Good job. Good job.
thank you.
Yeah, round of applause. We'll do the sign ACL. Okay, next, Miss Sally, are you there? I hope you're here because I cannot wait to hear it from your mouth because I haven't heard the whole story yet. Miss Sally Pritchard, are you there? Oh, I see you.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, you are. What's up?
Here I am.
That's the first I've seen you on video. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I'm gonna tell on you a minute about how I know you, and then you tell us what I missed.
Sounds good.
So I did. Jesse is strong as her. Everyone knows Jesse. Everyone loves Jesse. That's Sally's sponsor. Old high school friends, right?
Yes, correct.
Did a 3-way call with me. I was like instantly. I was trying to play it cool. I try not to be a shark who smells blood, but instantly I hung up the phone. I'm like, Jesse, that girl needs to be on the team. I'm telling you right now. Be patient. That girl's got to go. She's gonna win. I just knew. So you came on, but you had not really done anything like this before, correct?
Right.
So the only thing you've done, you've been in for a week or two or whatever it was, the only thing you've done is the ATM system. So we had an example a second ago of Aaron, who's been in for many, many years and tried this a few weeks ago and had amazing success last week. Now we have Sally, who's brand spanking new, doesn't know anything but this. Tell us your experience, why you joined, what happened, and what you've been doing since.
Well, my story begins with Jesse and I. We've been friends for a really long time. She actually was talking to me about Zeal a few years ago because I do have Crohn's disease and had some issues, and she was telling me about it. Um,
And you ignored her.
I
Straight
did.
up ignored her.
I did. I absolutely did. Yeah, okay, Jesse. But then, leap of faith. The last couple of months, I had a baby a year ago. Suffered with postpartum anxiety, and tried different medications and everything, and nothing really helped. So with that being said, I was talking to Jesse a little bit about the Zeal and said, you know what, last ditch effort, let's try it, give it a try. Was on the product for about 2 weeks, noticed an amazing difference, and decided to become a consultant. So she signed me up and kind of ran with it from there. I am a stay-at-home mom with my 1-year-old, so it's kind of hard to throw parties, get out there, do my thing. So I took a leap of faith and started watching Kyle's videos and, with you and Jesse asking questions and, doing it a little bit each day, adding 3 people, talking to them. That seems like a perfect number for me as well, just because I don't take away from Evelyn, my daughter, as well as putting my all into my business. So it's really been successful for me. I've been doing it for a week and a half now and have 4 customers.
Customer all-star. G3, all that investment, you already made enough money to get all your investment back plus some, so you get a profit.
Yeah,
Holy smoke! What a first week in business.
exactly. Very pumped.
So what's next? I imagine 3 a day for a long, long time.
Yes, yes. I want to try to work on. I set myself a goal for, obviously, like I wanted to get my 2 consultants, so I'm trying to do that as well. But yeah, just kind of plugging in and trying to learn everything I can, make the calls, see what I can do, see where I can learn, and see who I can learn it from, and just kind of sticking it out.
You're doing it. As long as you're doing what you're doing now, you can't be doing it wrong. We can
Right.
always get better. We can always learn more things. We're all sharpening our axe, but what you're doing now, baseline, you're not doing it wrong. You're not messing nothing up. So amazing job. Thank you so much for being who you are at the time you are, what you did, because it's really, you don't even know how much of a breath of fresh air to have someone new come in, use the system, and prove it this fast as hardcore is for a lot of us. You don't even know how we're all like, what? Like, okay, so brand new, this is what we always talk about and been looking for. So thank you for taking a leap of faith and stepping up and doing something you didn't even know how big you were doing it. So it's going to pay you for a long time.
Yes, that's my goal.
Awesome. Thank you, Miss Ellie. Last words.
Thank you.
New people starting today. What do you got to tell someone who's brand new today, who is in the emotions that you were when you were thinking about signing up or you signed up? What could you go back in time in 2 weeks and tell Sally then?
Just do it. Like, why waste your time? I mean, honestly, if you're gonna, I did just financial reasons. I did the smallest pack with the 24 samples and the 2 canisters. I'm not familiar to what it's called, but
I love that, by the way. It's not the small one with the samples. I don't even know what it's called. Let's just sign up more people.
No, but I did just, I was like, you know what? I'm going to start out small. That was just my mindset. Now thinking back, I'm like, why didn't I get the bigger pack? Why didn't I do that? Because look at, like you just said, I already made my money back in a week. That's silly. But whatever. I didn't believe in it, like in myself, to be able to be that confident to do this much. Yeah. So, just take a leap of faith and do it, and really, really stick to your guns and go with it. I was a little shy at first to do it, but it's not that bad. It's actually really easy to just talk to people, reconnect with people. Even my parents, I've talked to them about it, and they're like, yeah, okay, Sally. I gave them some samples, and my dad, who, has suffered with blood pressure, diabetes, the whole 9. We've been having a few conversations just, well, tell me about that Zeal, Sal. Like, tell me what's going on with it. You gave me that sample. I really like it. I kind of need something to get my day started. All right, so let's get you in here. So, just keep the faith and keep going with it.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you, Sally. Good job. Bravo. A round of applause. You rock. And with that, Chris, I'm going to go back to you. I'm going to turn my video back off because I'm starting to chop up. I can see my internet chopping up. So thank you and good job, everybody.
Okay. Well, keep your voice on for just a second because I want to just follow up with you on a couple things. First off, Sally, Aaron, thank you for your stories, your testimonies. Not only are you building your business, not only are you succeeding and moving forward, but the team culture that we've created and in the process of creating and going to continue to create, you're a part of that. And what you did today by sharing your story of what's happening in your business is helpful to all of us. And we just want you to know we appreciate it. And Dave, what I wanted to talk to you about a little bit is, ATM system. Oh, Katie's half naked. I just saw Katie. You should turn your
Ooh, Katie's half naked. Everyone saw. Today is your lucky day.
I'm teasing. But, I just wanted to talk about the ATM system. I wish Patty was here with us and Rodney and some of our other leaders. But, just you and I are kind of here, and just, it's so funny. The ATM system is kind of this thing that we've been watching for a couple of months, and I already kind of shared what we were doing while we were watching it and stuff. But fast forward to today, it's working. It's a good concept. You can do quicker um, things than we could with the meetings. I mean, I love what Marcia and them's doing, and definitely don't stop doing it. Keep doing it, because there's something special that happens when you're face to face with people, belly to belly, eyeball to eyeball. There's good things that are happening, and in no way, shape, or form should you quit that. Those are people in your local community you're building a business with. But there's a lot of people we know that aren't in our local community. I even the Super Saturdays that we're doing now, I remember the feeling I would get when I watched Patty do her Super Saturdays, and I know Dave could relate to it, and Cindy, and people not close to Patty. She's having these big Super Saturdays with 40 people at it, and she's throwing candy bars out to the crowd, and they're having meals together, and they're having fun and playing games and doing training. And all of the rest of us were like, man, I wish I lived in Kansas. I mean, people would drive 3-4 hours to go to Patty Super Saturdays. So, you know, what we're doing culturally here is kind of pulling all this together. And it's kind of the same concept or philosophy. And we're not using Facebook, we're using Zoom right now. And I'm actually doing some investigation of how to live stream these and onto our page. But I just wanted you to kind of run some of that by you and with you, and just your thoughts on the ATM and how that fits in with what we're doing. Because Erin asked me a question. It was kind of a surprise question 3 days ago. She said, okay, I got these 2 new consultants. Do I plug them in to the legacy training system, or do I plug them into the Power of One training? And I was like, oh, wow, I didn't expect that question, you know, and I had to think about it for a minute. I think it took me a couple minutes to answer Erin back. And I'm like, no, of course, nothing we've done in the legacy system takes away from what's happening over there. This is our team, our culture. We're getting people started with our workbook. You know, we're getting their why. We're getting, you know, why they're working the business. Anyway, instead of me talk about it, I wanted you to kind of give your thoughts on the fly. We didn't talk about this before, but what you kind of thought about that.
Yeah, no, I think it's exactly true. What's cool about the legacy coaching system and our team website is that it's all foundation, fundamental, principle based. It's not trendy. So if it could have been made 10 years ago, would still be current, apart from some of the technology talk. If it's stuck around for 10 more years, it'll need to be updated with tech talk, but it's going to be the same principles, because in the end of the day, we're all the same animal. We're still the same humans as we were in the 1940s when network marketing started, or whatever it was. So the ATM system has got nothing to. It's like its brother who we just now found. We didn't know Mom had another brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just like, oh my God, you're here too. Come on, you're part of the family. And it's just like a better tool. The foundations of Be Here a Year from Today, you know, the whole legacy coaching system, Launch With Right Away, all of these principles have nothing to do with tools. They have to do with like principles. Behind all those principles, I promise. You still want to, like, the most important principle we have is the consistent activity. You still have to have this consistent activity. We just now have a better tool to cut. Like if we're lumberjacks, we now have a bigger, sharper axe to cut more trees down with faster. Same principle, better tool. The other thing I like about the ATM system, that it's really like duh. Will Watkins one time sent me a book by a guy who was a doctor, owned a medical practice. It was called Dare to Dream, Work to Win. It's about a doctor who built a networking company and made more money that way, and he retired, and the whole super success, right? Well, his thing was not everybody has the 4, 5, 6 hours a day to do the driving, to do the meetings, etc. So it wasn't about his talk. His point wasn't about what tool to use or, you know, how to do it. His point was you have to find a way, and what he called was the nooks and crannies. You have to find a way to fit the business into the nooks and crannies of your day. So he talked about seeing patients, and in between reading charts to go to the next patient, he'd stop and send a text or send a call or send an email to one of his family or a prospect to shoot out a prospecting email and go back to treating a patient. So he had to find like 5-10 minute windows to do stuff with. You got Sally, who was just on here, who's got a 1-year-old. I mean, the only people who love 1-year-olds are their parents. Like, there's just just saying, Sally, I love your kid. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I got a puppy, and I love puppies, but I'm telling you right now, things that take that much care, babies, puppies, jobs, lives, families, you ain't got time to focus for 4 hours on something to get better. You know, when you're in college and it's only you can spend 3 hours in a class and craft your skill. You know, it's a very special way to be able to fit into the nooks and crannies of kids in a nap. Bath is drawn. This is set up. Let me stop real quick. 5 minutes. Bam, 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 bam. Cool, done. And then address that again when your 2 hours later comes up and you have another 5-minute window. So I've never seen something so important as a tool that fits into that that's reality, especially now in 2018. That is reality. The reality is not very many of us have 4-hour windows, but the reality is we all can add, tag, and message 3 people a day. So the most important advancement or tech, like, no, it's not technology, Facebook's technology, but as far as skill level technology, it's the most important thing I think we've ever seen, for that reason, that anyone can do it with any busy lifestyle at any time of the day. And it doesn't depend upon everyone's schedule lining up at 7 p.m. on a Thursday for a meeting. It depends on do what you can do when you can do it.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate it and appreciate you sharing. And it was kind of off the cuff and not on our schedule today, but it is something that, I is going through my mind and we're experiencing. As Aaron asked that question, I'm like, well, gosh, I don't know. I hadn't really thought about it that way. And it took me a couple seconds to put it together. But remember, guys, what we're doing with the legacy coaching system is we're building a culture. And what we're also doing is we've set up a system through the workbook of getting a person started right. I had a guy come over to my house yesterday, and he's been in the business for a couple of years. And I started trying to tell him about the Facebook for a second. He's like, oh, man, I don't even have Facebook. And I had to stop real quick because I didn't want to start getting all excited about this Facebook thing, because you could tell right away he had this stare on his face. He's a 50-year-old gentleman or so. He works at a post office, and he barely has a Facebook account. And I started talking Facebook, and it was like the lights went out, and I'm like, So we have to understand the ATM system is a way to build our business. The legacy coaching system is the culture that we're creating as a team. Basically what Patty did in the Mighty Z team and what she did there, it's just we're doing it over, but kind of incorporating it with some more people, So basically some of my other legs of our organization, we're just doing it together. So we're creating that, and we're getting people off to a fast start, and we're helping people understand the ups and downs of the business. So, the ATM, it's going to be its own culture, but remember, it's got 10,000 people in the different groups. It's going to be huge. It'd be like going to a corporate event compared to going to a team event. It's going to have its purpose. It's going to have lots of purpose and lots of good stuff, as we've seen, but it's also going to be very, very important that we keep a team culture, and just know that they're going to assist each other, not compete with each other. So with that being said, I'll shut up about it. I'll have a few minutes to kind of close up in a few points. We're a little off schedule, so the 15 minutes I had at the end will be much, much shorter than that. But I just want to share with you guys what we're doing on this Super Saturday is every month we're going to have a special guest. So you heard Kyle this month. Last month you heard Frank. But what we're also doing, and we're going to continue to do that, but we're also going to continue to do this, we're going to highlight people inside of our team, people that have stories and journeys. And, nobody's where they want to be. I'm not where I want to be. Patty, Rodney, we're all on this journey, of gratefully frustrated. We always got more places to go, more things to do. But we also understand that there's many people on our team that would love to trade places with us. We may be stuck at a certain income or stuck at a certain rank, or we haven't hit that next pin level or whatever. But we also realize that our job is not only to accomplish what we want to accomplish in our own businesses, but also to encourage you guys. And sometimes that's just being transparent and honest, like Kyle was a while ago, like Frank was last month, or like, Dave was when he shared his story. We want to be able to share that story, and we want you to have a story to share. And this month, I'm very, very excited. We're going to hear from our very own Cindy Buxton, and she's going to share her story. And I'm just excited to hear it. So she has about 15 or so minutes to share her story. Cindy, don't rush. Don't worry about the time I had at the end. Tell your story, and I'm excited to hear it. So with that being said, Cindy, it's all yours.
Okay, thanks, Chris. I usually tell my story in about a minute, but I'm going to go a little more in depth today. It really does kind of define who I am. I live in Wisner, Nebraska with my husband, Farron. I always grew up on a farm, hardworking and everything. Went to school. School was easy for me because I memorized everything. I was not a good student. So when I graduated high school, I did not want to go to college. Much to my father's dismay, I turned down three. I had full ride scholarships to 3 different colleges, and I said I wanted to go to photography school. So he agreed to send me to photography school in Minneapolis, 6 months at a time, and see how it went. So I did. I went for 6 months, learned how to be a photographer. At that time, a local gal here was, she was doing a flower business, got into the weddings, and then she kind of started a photography business. And so she asked me to come work for her. So at the age of 18, I came home from school. I went to work for her for 15 months. And during that time, this is going to kind of lead to some people come into your life for a lesson, and other times it's a blessing. And for like with her, I learned kind of what not to do about building a business, how not to treat people. You know, I knew the photography and all that. So it came down to it after 15 months. I said, you know, I can do this. So just before my 20th birthday, I started my own business. I went to my grandfather and I talked him into co-signing a $10,000 loan for me so I could buy a camera. I had a camera already from going to school, but I needed a studio camera. I think I got 3 backdrops, a stool, and 3 lights, and I was in business. I set it up in my parents' farm home. I cleaned out a spot in the Grove so I could take some outdoor pictures, and which is kind of interesting because Joni Yostin came into my life during that period. I was probably about 20 years old then. She came and booked her wedding, and I shot her engagement pictures in my parents' Grove. And now she's a physician's assistant and in business with me. So it's just kind of funny how life evolves. But I did business like that for over a year, and then my parents divorced. My dad was very abusive physically and mentally all my life. In fact, when I was in 8th grade, we happened to come home from school just in time. Otherwise, he would have killed my mother, which led him to being in a mental institution for a while. And so high school years were tough. And it just, you know, I made some promises to myself at that time that I was going to prove him wrong in every single way. He always said I was never going to be anybody. And so I did. That's what gave me the guts to do what I wanted to do. So when my mom got the guts to leave, I said, Mom, if you get me started in my photography business, I promise I'll take care of you the rest of my life. And I actually fulfilled that. But in my early 20s, I could make that promise. I had no intention of getting married. Then when I was 25, I met Farron. And it's kind of funny about my mom. Actually, it was her idea to have him move in with us. So we started our relationship, which was very fun over the years. In 1993, my mom actually married one of Farron's coworkers, but he died a week before their first anniversary. And so she continued to live in his house for a couple of years, but then his kids wanted to sell the house. We had been planning to build a studio because my business had really taken off. He was my support in making me focus on my photography business. And when I did so, it's when we really became very successful. So we planned building this big studio. We bought 2.5 acres right on the edge of town. I designed my studio with the space I needed, and then we put a house on top of it. So we ended up bringing my mom home because it was way too much house for the 2 of us. And so life was really good. Really, really good. My business was the place to go to. I was shooting 30, 35 weddings a year by myself. I never had an assistant. I shot almost 200 seniors, numerous kids, engagements, family pictures. I was working all the time. When Mom came back with us, you know, when we moved into this house, she was my receptionist. She answered the phone, but I was doing all the work myself. Then it was about 4 years after we built the house, we went totally digital. This was supposed to be a transition that cost $40,000. What happened was in the first year, I ended up putting $167,000 into it on top of a $435,000 house. So, you know, we had a big financial debt, but business was good. I had to actually add a digital artist. I even dabbled in trying to find another wedding photographer to help me out. That didn't work out so well. So here I was working 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. Money was good. We could buy whatever we want. I remember just buying a $15,000 mower one day. We didn't discuss it. I bought a $30,000 camera without discussing it with him. And actually, while he was in Montana one day, I also bought a 32-acre farm. So we were enjoying life. We liked having, the money to do what we wanted, whenever we wanted, except for I didn't have time. That's the one thing I was being robbed of. I was just working all the time. He was a truck driver. He had no set schedule. He was working all the time. So I guess I decided to give up the wedding business. My knees were giving out. I had done over 1,000 weddings. I just decided that, I had to slow down a little bit. And at the same time, I had discovered network marketing. I kind of got involved in another business, and it was good. I mean, we made $15,000 the first year, $30,000 the second year, and that third year we were on track to make $65,000. But that company really wasn't going where it was supposed to go. It wasn't financially stable, and pretty soon we found ourselves being paid in product instead of cash. And so we needed to look for a new home, and we looked for a long, long time, 8 months. And I darn near walked away. Was convinced that every single network marketing company was exactly the same. Where we were in a leadership position there, which they kind of built us into, like that was a big thing. They encouraged that you needed a big ego in order to be successful. And so that company, I was very naive about a lot of things. And so I was becoming somebody I wasn't really proud of either. That business right there was another lesson learned in life, but it also led to the biggest blessing of our life too. Because just about when I was ready to give up was when I went to Dallas and I got introduced to Zervita. I saw immediately the simplicity of the business. I loved the culture of the business. They had an impact product. The bonus structure was fantastic. I knew that if I could do it in that other business, I could do it in this business. And so I thought, this is great. Get another business started. I still got my photography business going. This is going to be awesome. And so I did. I had some success right away when we came into this business. I did make $4,100 in our first 6 weeks, became car qualified, which I still don't drive the car. It's another thing I love about this company. We choose when we're ready for that. Within that first year, I don't know, maybe it took about I don't know, I think it was less than a year. Went to Premier and Regional. But here I am. I'm still a regional. 3.5 years later. I'm not where I want to be in this company, but it's not because of the company, it's because of me. Things that happen in life. 2015 was a sucky year. I have no other way of saying, but that it just sucked. The end of that year, the end of September, my dad died. That next month, I had a 29-year-old Zervita consultant who was really getting ready to want to take off. He was doing a lawn business, and he was my lawn guy too. And he got killed in a car accident the end of September or end of October. And, I was ready to run with him. And so that kind of impacted me. 2 weeks later, my accountant, who was my accountant and financial advisor since I was 19 years old. He was like a big brother to me since I was 6 years old. We got very close when I went through a 3-year audit, and they had just had a very bad car accident in June, and him and his wife were both in wheelchairs. And in fact, they had just gotten out of those wheelchairs about 3 weeks before, but suddenly he was killed in a car accident. So that really devastated me. My niece even got married during that time, and I think back about it, and that was a total blur. I just don't even remember that. Then a couple other close friends died. We're in December, and it was December 21st, and a good friend's son got killed in Afghanistan. And I remember sitting and talking to my mom. It was December 21st, and I thought, what else can happen? I said that about the last 3 deaths. I said, what else could possibly happen this year? I had lost my mobility because I had injured my knee. They wanted to give me a new knee. I did not want to do that, take that surgery. So I did a stem cell transplant. I mean, it just was an eventful year, and none of it was good. And by the end of that week, it was the day after Christmas. We were walking into my sister's house for Christmas, and my mom just literally dropped dead. And so she had lived with us for 27 years. But I did fulfill my promise of taking care of her. And I always said she was never going to go to a nursing home. And so I'll tell you, we went into that next year. I was determined I was going to build this business, but I had to admit that I wasn't as strong as I thought I was. And it all affected me way harder than it ever should have. But then I realized that now, just recently, it took a long time. And I'm grateful for this business. My business was not where I wanted it to be. But, I had a residual income of $600-700 a month at that time, and that really helped out. And it also made me realize that this is, a good business. It's solid. It's something I can rely on. And so, I had to just realize that sometimes you just need to be vulnerable and transparent about things and realize my business started to die because of digital technology. It started to get so cheap that everybody who had a camera started taking their own pictures, or they knew somebody who took pictures. So I lost my livelihood. We had to dip into our retirement to get through some of this time. I lost my big brother figure who was anything financial. He's who I went to. I lost both my parents. I lost my mobility with my knees, and just everything in life took longer. And during that time, I said we bought that farm. We ended up having to sell that farm. That was our dream. We wanted to retire in the country. We lost that. During this time too, we had a lot of issues. I pretty much lost my relationship with my brother's family, his 3 kids and their families. And that was due to, divorce, domestic abuse, mental illness, which I all think stems back to my father. In his family, my dad's influence was very negative. For me, it's, what made me strong, what made me want to do what I want to do. So I'm not going to let my past define me. I kind of got kicked in the butt there for a while. I got knocked down, but everybody is always going to have things happen to us. It just does. It's life. It's part of it. The only thing we can control is how we react to it. And so right now I'm going to declare my future. I think by actually speaking about loss and realizing that it happens, but I'm not going to let it get me down. I'm back. I'm strong. I'm declaring right now that I'm going to go on a 90-day run. I'm back on the track. And when you get on that track, you got to keep moving, because in order for your team to move forward, you got to be moving too. So no matter what you've had happen to you in the past, where your business was or whatever, I'm not happy with $1,000 a month residual check. I'm not. But the great thing about this business is we can control our income with the bonuses, the team bonuses. I really love the new loyalty packs and how they pay that out. We can really build a good business on that too. So what you got to do is just, decide you're going to do it. Draw that line in the sand. I know Patty's heard me say it before, Chris too, but I've told Patty, this is it. I'm doing it this time. and then it never happens. But things are different this time. Farron going to Dallas with me was fantastic. He has always been the biggest support ever, but he has been way too patient with me. It's time to make it happen. We're not getting any younger. He needs new shoulders. I need new knees. But guys, it's just time to decide that we're going to do this. We can believe in this company. We can believe in this product. There's no doubt there. Everybody's different though. And so what's great is we have so many different ways to build this business. Find the tool that works for you. But what I want to just point out is we have such phenomenal mentorship in Patty and Chris. Let's never, ever, let new things get us off track with that. Patty and Chris are going to be there all the time. And I think that needs to be our hub. We can use these new tools and stuff, but then we need to take those people and bring them into the culture of our team. The legacy coaching system is a phenomenal system. It's going to get people off to the right start. We just have to remember that everybody has different ways it's going to work for them. Some people love parties. The Hispanics are just, the hotel meetings is their ticket. For people that are shy, like Erin. I'm so proud of you, Erin. You just doing a phenomenal job, but I think she found what works for her. These Zoom calls, they're great too. You don't have to do the presentation. Let our leaders do that. So guys, with this company, we could put, we could bank our future on it. It's going to be here. We've got great leaders. Just decide you're going to do it, and let's just make everything start today. Thanks.
Thank you,
Chris,
Cindy, very, very, very much. Yes. Well, I just appreciate you being so transparent and sharing your story. And guys, there's a million reasons why we do what we do on these calls, but one of the most important, guys, is we're family. I promise you, there's people I believe that my best friends, my wife is my best friend, of course, but the people that I feel the closest to are the people in this business. Even my siblings, I don't spend a lot of time with them. We're just on our own path, on our own journey. But, what's neat about you guys and this group and this culture that we've created, we're on the same journey. And because of that, we have things to talk about and we have things to relate to each other about. So because of that, emotionally, we become connected. And we struggle together. We win together. I love it. And Cindy, I thank you for sharing your story. And I have a couple things that I was going to talk about, and I'm just going to kind of blow through them real quick and try to be done in like 2 or 3 minutes. But first thing I wanted to say, guys, is you all have a story. Just like Cindy just had a story, Becky's got a story, Christopher's got a story, Charlotte's got a story, Julie, Marcia, Amy, Holly, Stacy, and I think I named everybody. I see Harry, Audrey, we all have a story, and there'll be plenty of people that watch this and recording later. But we all have a story, and, we want to get to know each other. We want to share these stories together, and we want to help lift each other up. So know that you have a story, and our job is to help you continually develop that story, because we all have struggles. We could get on a call and share 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, our struggles. Life is full of struggles. We're not promised to be struggle free by any religion, any God, any guru, anybody. We will always have struggles. It's part of life. It's like oxygen. It's there. Nothing you can do about it. It's a universal principle. It's like gravity. Struggles is part of that. It is there for all of us. But it's overcoming those obstacles, and it's how we deal with those obstacles. And just like Cindy was sharing with her father, it's what she had to motivate her, where her brother maybe had a different effect on. And and not to take away from mental illness or mental health or anything like that, but I truly believe, and maybe it's because I don't relate, but it's the 4 inches between our ears. It's that choice we get to make. We get to choose by the setting of our cell whether the wind's going to blow us one way or whether the wind's going to blow us another way. And Cindy has allowed these negative things in her life to help her set her cell and let them push her forward and blow her forward. And I'm just proud of her for that, and proud of her for sharing. The next thing I want to talk about is just kicking off our month, guys. The reason we do this at the beginning of the month It's the first Saturday of the month every single month, is because it's a time to kind of get together, share, get encouraged, and put that line in the sand. Last month, I did this, or I didn't do this, or I accomplished a little, I accomplished a lot. Whatever it is, it's done. Whether it was good or bad, it's over. You can't change it, and you can't celebrate it, and you can't dwell on it, whether it was good or bad. All you can do is let it be the wind that pushes you forward or backwards. It can either be the thing of, man, I had a bad month last month, I'm probably going to have a bad month this month, and you're letting that push you backwards. Or you can say, I had a bad month last month, I'm going to let it push me forward, and I'm going to do better. If you had a good month last month, same thing, and I don't want to just sound repetitive here, but a good month can push you forward or backward too. You can say, man, I had a good month that last month, so I'm going to take this month off. Or you can say, man, best time to strike is when the iron's hot. Let's go tell the story and the testimony of what good I did last month and go do better this month. So I just encourage you to kick off the month by setting your goals. The legacy system, Dave did a really good job. I got mine right here. We got a goal sheet. Kyle actually put one of these together for the Power of One as well. Looks a lot like it, where you can set your accountability for what you're going to do in that system. I think you could actually use this to do the same thing, but it don't matter which one you use. What matters is that you use one and you set a goal for yourself at the beginning of the month, and I strongly encourage you to do that. And the other thing Dave and I actually already talked about, so that's all I got. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmute this. I always have such trouble doing everything. So you are all going to be unmuted unless you've muted yourself, and then you can unmute yourself if you like. But I just want to say thank you for being a part of this. Thank you for participating. Thank all of you that spoke and shared your stories this month, and I can't wait until next month. And also our team calls are every Sunday night, and they're going to look more and more like this on a smaller version as time goes on. We're going to work together to make sure they're nice and productive, and not just me and Patty on there hoping we can come up with something to talk about. We're going to get a little more organized where they're a little more productive and helpful to ourselves. So anyways, that being said, goodbye, guys, and we'll talk with you later.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Today.
Great call. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, great job. Is it time to take a nap, Chris?
Do what?
Is it time to take a nap?
Maybe.
I got up at 7. It's time to take a nap.
I like it. I think we should do that. All right.